Hi, nice to see you again. Now I'm going to talk about verb phrase. My name's Bebe Dujanmoko from Sanata Dharma University, Yogyakarta. Now let me start with the theories and objectives. The theories. The theories I'm going to use for the talk is the theories on principles and parameters, or the principles and parameter theories on the governed binding theories by Chomsky 1981 and Chomsky 1986b and Hageman 1994. And also, of course, the expert theory, the theory for the formation of phrases, and then also lexicon or mental dictionary. And then the aim of this talk, on the objectives of this talk, is first to know the elements and structure of a phrase or VP. Then the final goal, the final aim is to explain how a sentence is produced. This is the final aim on the talk of sentence structure or transformational grammar, how a sentence is produced. Now, let me talk about verb phrase. First, the questions are, what elements does a verb phrase have? And then, what phrase categories can occur in a verb phrase and what are their functions? And how is the structure of a verb phrase? So these are the three questions which I will cover answer in this talk. Now, let's start with the expert theory first. The expert theory is a theory on phrase production, phrase generation, and it applies to all kinds of phrase, all categories of phrase, as well as, in this case, the verb phrase. A verb phrase branches into a specifier and a V bar on the intermediate V, and the intermediate V branches into V bar again and an adjunct, and the V bar here branches into an attribute and another V bar or intermediate V, and then the V here branches into a V as the head and the complement. Now let's have a phrases. We have a phrases in sentences like Sarah made the cake, and then the plan successfully ran well, and they carefully developed the design in the team. So the questions here is, what are the VPs in the sentences? Well, can we say that the verb phrase here, the elements on the verb phrase are the elements which the verb make require in sentence 1, the verb ran or run in sentence 2, and the verb develop in the third sentence. In the discussion, in the early discussion of this talk, I will not include tense as the to be discussed here, although we have made, this is in the past tense with a ed suffix. Here we also have past tense with the ed suffix, inflection, and we have developed it also with an ed. So tense does not belong to a VP because not all VPs in all languages have a tense indicator, like in Indonesian and Japanese and other Malaysian, Malay, Polynesian languages. The predicate does not have a tense indicator, and the structure is supposed to be universal. So in this talk, I will drop first the inflectional ed, and then I will also talk about the specifier first because it likely poses a problem, and it will be discussed later in this talk. Now we have make the cake. So make the cake here, make is the head, and the cake, what do you make? Okay, the cake. So here we can say that this is a VP, make is the head, and the cake is the complement. This is the head and this is the complement. And then in successfully run well, we have successfully here is this is well first. Well is the adjunct, and then it branches into successfully and run, between brackets over here, and then it branches into successfully as an attribute and run, which is still a V bar because it doesn't have a complement. And then we have carefully developed the design in a team. the head word is on the V is develop, and then we have in a team a PP as an adjunct, and then carefully an attribute, an AP as an attribute, and design as the complement of develop. Now, yeah, you have this is the make and design. Design is the complement of make. Here, as you see over here, it's just the head V, and then this is the green brackets. Carefully make the design, and then we have inner team, which is an adjunct. Now we have the tree diagram can be displayed like this. We have make a cake is VP, and it doesn't have a specifier, so it goes directly to V bar, and then the V bar here branches into V the head, and a cake the complement, and then make a cake or make the cake. Make here is the head and the cake is the complement. And then in the second phrase we have the tree diagram successfully run well, and here VP here branches, it doesn't branch, it goes directly to a V bar over here because it doesn't have specifier. On the specifier is not presented in this diagram, and then it branches into the adverbial phrase over here as a adjunct, and then we have another adverbial phrase as a attribute, and the V bar here is run. It's still a V bar because it doesn't have a complement, and so the status of V bar here is still run here is still a V bar. It's not if we want we can say a V bar over here and then V over here and v, run under it. So but to make it short you can just V bar and it goes directly to run, so it means that run here doesn't have a complement. But once again, if you want to make it in details, we can draw like V bar over here, and then V over here, and then you have going down, and you have run over here. Successfully is an adverbial phrase. The next you have carefully develop the design in a team. Again, we don't have the specifier here. We have in a team as an adjunct, and then the V bar here branches into an adverbial phrase and V bar, and then the V bar branches into V and develop as the head and the design as the complement. Carefully here is the adverbial phrase. And as we see here, we have a complement of a verb. So the design here is the complement of a verb. So the questions we have is the next is what categories does a verb take as a complement as its complement? Let's see. First, a verb may take a noun phrase or NPA as its complement. For example, eat an apple. An apple is the complement of eat. What do you eat? And then you have draw a picture. A picture is the complement of draw. We can say what you draw or what did he draw. And then you have we can also have a preposition phrase as the complement of a verb, like in listen to music. So to music is the complement of listen. And then we have bring up the children. Bring up the children here is the complement of bring. We have adjective phrase as a complement of verb, like get very angry and feel a little ill. So very angry and feel here, feel and a little ill here are the complements of get and feel respectively. But different from questions complement 1 and 2, noun phrase and preposition. Here we cannot ask questions using what because very angry is an adjective phrase, and a little is also an adjective phrase. And then we can have a verb phrase and as a complement of a verb, like in plan to study abroad. So to study abroad is the complement of plan. What do you plan to study abroad? And then to help Mary. To help Mary is a complement of promise. But I should say this is a mistake over here. Should be no ed over here, because what we talk is about verb, and verb does not take ed in it in the D structure. So once again, in the D structure, you don't have the ed because D is not present. It's not needed when the verb phrase. D is a syntactic category, syntactic element, which helps to show a grammatical meaning. And then we have a verb phrase like see the student leave the lab. So the complement of see here is the student leave the lab. What did you see? I see, or I saw the student leave the lab. And then we have make the girls laugh. The girls laugh here is a complement of make. You cannot say what did you make? What did you make the girls? No, what you make is the girls laugh. That's the girls laugh is the complement of make. Now the next kind of complement is clause. We can have that clause like in I know that he went to Jakarta. So that he went to Jakarta is the complement of that. And then I believe that is honest. I believe he's honest. So that is honest is a complement of believe. What do you believe? I believe that he is honest. I believe it. And what do you know? He went to Jakarta. That's the kind of the test to check that here is a complement of no, and that is honesty is a complement of belief. And then we also have WH clause as the complement of a verb, like in tell what he knows. Tell me what he knows. So what he knows is the complement of the verb tell. And then guess where he went. Where he went is the complement of guess. And then you have another construction. So here if or whether clause, like in ask if he is ready. Please ask if he is ready. So what did he ask? If he is ready. And then I didn't know whether he will come or not. So whether he will come or not is the complement of no. As you see here, we have three kinds of clauses as a complement of a verb, and that clause, a WH clause, and an if or whether clause. Now let's continue with the next. We have how can we identify the complement of a verb? I've done that. In fact, we have first we can ask what or who question, asking for the object on the complement of a verb. Object is a traditional term. Here he had an apple. What did you eat? Or what did he eat? What did he eat? And then what did he eat? You have I met Tom at the harbor. You can ask who did you meet at the harbor? So Tom here is the complement. And then you can say Mary listened to music. What did Mary listen to? That's it, to music. He listened to music. And then you have what did she listen to? And Tanto planned to study abroad. This is to study abroad is to infinitive as a complement of verb, and we can ask what did Tanto plan to study abroad? What did Tanto plan next year? Well, he planned to study abroad, but because of the virus, probably the plan will change. And we have another, so what did he plan is the question to check that to study abroad is a complement. And then we have he saw a girl jump over the fence. So a girl jump over the fence here, you can see here it's a complement because you can ask like what did he see? He saw a girl jump over the fence. So a girl jump over the fence here is a complement of the verb see. What did he see? Yes. Then we can also have a paraphrase. This is especially if you have a sentence like Mr. Sanders got very angry this morning and Mary feels a little ill. We can check that he was an AP. He was very angry. and he feels a little ill. As we know in our discussion of sentence elements, very angry, and you have a linking verb, is usually also identified as a subject object complement. This is a subject complement, the complement of a subject. This is a subject complement of Mary. And then, yes, he was very angry, and she's a little late. So these are the subject complement of was and is respectively. So we see here these are the function is a subject complement, and therefore here is also a subject complement. Very angry and a little ill is the subject complement of got and feel respectively. If we see it as a linking verb, if we see the got and feel as a linking verb. Now the next talk is about attribute. An attribute gives information on the manner or frequency of the action which the verb expresses. You have like the suspect carefully answered the police questions. Carefully is the manner. And then Muddy beautifully danced the ketchup dance. Muddy is not an English word over here. This is a Balinese name, Muddy. Muddy beautifully danced the ketchup dance. Beautifully is an attribute. Another example, Fred usually comes to the gathering with his wife. This is about the frequency of Fred coming to the gathering with his wife. The next we have a negative phrase. This one is also negative phrase can also be considered as the attribute of a verb. So not attend here is a negative phrase which functions as an attribute of attend. Dr. Dangerfield has not scored the student work. So not here is the complement of score. The next adjunct. An adjunct keeps circumstantial information such as the time, place, and manner of the action which the verb expresses. So it gives circumstantial information on the action which the verb expresses. We can have a preposition phrase as the adjunct, like I lost my camera in Palembang. In Palembang here, the phrase over here is an adjunct. Where did you lose your camera? In Palembang. Too bad. And the meeting lasted for 30 minutes. 30 minutes here is an adjunct. It shows how long the meeting lasted. And then you have adverbial phrases as an adjunct. You have Diana answered the questions very clearly. How did Diana answer the questions? And then you have Theo drove his new car very carefully. Carefully as an adjunct of driving or drive over here. The next kind of adjunct is a verb phrase. Here we have a to infinitive form. Linda bought the books to read in her vacation. So to read in vacation is an adjunct of purpose. It's just the purpose of why Linda bought the books. And then you have he left early to see the football match on TV. To see the football match on TV is an adjunct. It motivates, it gives information about the purpose why he left early. He left early to see the football match on TV. And then we have a clause as an adjunct, like in he left because he had a meeting. So he left because he had a meeting. This is an adjunct of reason. So because he had a meeting is a reason of why he left. And the lecturers will certainly return the work after they finish the correction. Well, this is rather controversial. As a lecturer, I made a mistake in tense of year will and should be after they finish without ed. So anyway, this is a mistake in grammar, will and finish, but it should be an example of an adjunct. So the correct sentence will be: the lecturers will certainly return the work after they finish the correction. Good lecturers, hopefully. And then you have also a noun phrase which functions as an adjunct, like Heidi lives a simple life. So a simple life is the way Hedy lives. This is an adjunct. How does he live? How does Hedy live? Well, it is a life. How does she live? She lived a simple life. And then Ron died an honorable death. This is again a mistake over here. Should be an honorable death. Ron died an honorable death. So how did she die? How did he die? He died an honorable death. So we see over here that we have two types of adjunct. The first is obligatory adjunct. It's a circumstantial information which should be present. Otherwise, a sentence is not clear, is not complete. Fred behaved well in the class. Fred behaved well in the class. If you have Fred behaved, just Fred behaved, probably the sentence is not complete. Fred behaved, and so well is needed. Probably if you say Fred behaved in class, that's understandable, but at least you have in class is a position. If you only say Fred behaved, then that's not complete because something is missing about what should be said of how he behaved. And then you have he put the book on the table. On the table is the location. You cannot have put something without the location. So on the table is a information, is a circumstantial information. It's a place information about the putting. So this one is an obligatory adjunct. And therefore, you have first obligatory adjunct, and the second you have the optional adjunct, an adjunct which can be present or can be absent. Like in they had again a type of mistake. I checked the slide several times, but still something is missing. That's okay. I think the most thing is the discussion. Okay, they had a meeting in room 205. 205. And room 205 is not essential here. We can say they had a meeting. They had a meeting. That's complete. They had a meeting. So in room 205 is an optional adjunct. The same thing in they planned the trip well. They planned the trip. That's complete. Well is only an additional adjunct here, additional information about the way they plan the trip. The next we have the adjunct identification. I've tried that in fact, but the first is that we can ask when, where, how, or why question. Like in I lost my camera in Palembang several years ago. So here in Palembang you can ask where did you lose your camera? Don't cry. You have where did you lose your camera in Palembang? And then Diana answered the questions very clearly. You have how did she answer the question? And Linda bought many books to read in her vacation. In vacation is an adjunct. No, to read in her vacation is an adjunct of buy. So why did Linda buy? Why did she buy many books? To read in her vacation. That's the purpose of the buying many books. Then why did she buy many books? Yes. And then we have he left because he had a meeting. Because he left. The meeting is a. You have Henry left because he had a meeting. So because he had a meeting is an adjunct of reason here, and it tells why Henry left. The next we have why did he leave the meeting? That's the question. And then Hedy lives a simple life. So a simple life is an adjunct of manner, and we can check using how questions. How does she live? She lives a simple life. So those are the tests to identify whether an element is an adjunct or not. And then I think we can continue with the specifier. In the previous discussion, I didn't include specifier in the tree diagram or in the analysis. Now we have a specifier. They carefully developed the design in a team. Again, I made a mistake here. Develop should be an ed, like in the previous slides or analysis. Here we have, just a moment. When that's correct, this is only the, anyway, the verb is develop. Let me see whether it's correct or not correct. You have a VP over here, and the VP is developed. And then in our previous analysis, the VP is developed, and then it doesn't branch, only it goes to a V bar. And then we have V bar here branches into adverbial phrase, carefully, and a V bar, and a preposition phrase in a theme. And then we have the V bar here branches into a V and a noun phrase as a complement. And this is the tree diagram which we had before. We don't have a specifier here because in the previous analysis, as I told you, we didn't talk about the specifier first. Now the question is, does develop here not have any specifier? Is not specific enough to know what's going on with this event? Well, let's see. We have the sentence that carefully developed the design and theme. So here we can, the sentence is can be paraphrased using into a noun phrase, the careful development of the design. The meaning is more or less the same, but this one here we have a noun. Is an action instead of an event over here. The careful development of the design. Development here takes of the design as the complement because this is the result of the development. Then careful is an attribute, and there here is a genitive phrase, and it functions as a specifier the noun phrase. The question is, if it is a specifier in the noun phrase, then what is the function in the verb phrase? The same thing with the next sentence. Brian designed the tall building. So Brian is an architect. Brian designed the tall buildings, and we have Brian's design on the tall buildings. So of the tall buildings is the complement of design, and Brian is the specifier, his design of the tall buildings. Here, another example, we produce high quality furniture. Our production of high quality furniture. So this is here the production of high quality furniture, and whose production is it? That's our. So this one is specific enough to function as the specifier of production, and therefore we can if we want to show the bracket analysis, development of the design. Careful here is an attribute, and there here is an specifier. The same thing with the careful design. If we take the analogy of the noun phrase with the verb phrase, then we can also say that the verb phrase here have they as the specifier. Careful is an attribute, develop is should be V over here, V and design. So they here in fact should be also analyzed as a specifier of the verb develop. Well, the question is still the question here is, where does the suffix ed go? So in our analysis of the develop over here, the ed is not included because ed does not belong to the verb. It belongs to it's a syntactic property. It's an inflectional. So an inflectional like ed and es are present in English but not present in other languages like Indonesian. We'll compare the structure of develop with the structure of those in Indonesian later. So my claim here is that ed here does not belong to, and this is also stated by other experts in the references. Develop here does not belong to, ed does not belong to develop. So here we can say that Kader is the specifier of answer. And then if you have the woman diligently peel the peanut butter, poor women. The women diligently peel the peanut butter. And here, the women here is a specifier of the verb peel. And ed here is should be left out from the discussion at the current moment. And then the novel was written by Oka in 2005. So what is the specifier here? who who does, or to whom does the writing here belong to? Who does the action over here? And the action is by Oka. So Oka here is the specifier of write. And then the book has been returned. Here we don't have any specifier, and the specifier is not mentioned, it's not presented, but the book here is the complement of return. So in a sentence, a specifier is not always presented. If you have a passive sentence like this, or you have a passive sentence without the by phrase, then the specifier is not presented. And then we also do not have a specifier in a sense like there is a new good linguistic book in the library. You have the verb is here, and is here does not need a specifier. So we don't have a specifier over here for the verb be in the D structure. And then the questions are, what are the elements of the verb phrases? We have first we have a specifier. Specifier is part of a VP. A verb specifier is a subject of an active sentence on the by phrase in a passive sentence. Then a verb specifier is not always present in the S structure of a sentence, like I want to study French. So you have the specifier of one over here, but you don't have the specifier of to study here. So it's not present in the S structure, but in the D structure, the agent of studying is present, because we always have somebody who is studying with the action of studying. So the specifier of to study here is not present. A verb like be does not always have a specifier, like Mary is sick. So is here is not doesn't have a specifier, because Mary here belongs to sick. Whose sickness? It's Mary's sickness, which we talk about. So Mary is a specifier of sick, and it's not a specifier of is, because is a dummy verb. It does not have any meaning, and it doesn't need any specifier. And even in like in Indonesian, is not present. Mary sakit, and kesakitan belongs to Mary. So Mary here is a specifier of sick. The passive and perfect elements of a sentence are not part of the VP, as they are not needed by the verb. So passive and perfect are in fact outside the VP. It's outside of the VP in the D structure, because they are not part of the meaning of the verb. They are not required by the verb. And then we have the free specifier. We have the show lasted for 2 hours. The show here is a specifier of lasted, of less, I mean the verb less. To study abroad, this is a noun. We can have a noun as a specifier of a verb, less, the show. And to study abroad gives you a chance to improve your English. So what gives you a chance to improve your English? To study abroad. So the specifier of to give here is to study abroad. And then what he said drove her crazy. Oh, too bad. So what he said drove her crazy. Drive here is the verb, and what he said is the specifier, and he or she crazy or her crazy is the complement of drive. Now let's see the structure of the VP. We have Kade answered the question calmly. Kade is a Japanese, Balinese name, I think. Kade answered the question calmly. So the verb here is only answer. Answer, the ed over here does not belong to the verb, so it's left out. And Kade is the specifier of answer. And then Kade here, the phrase here branches into the VP specifier, and the over here blue brackets up to here. So answer the question calmly is the V bar, which branches into the yellow brackets over here. Answer the question is still a V bar, and then calmly is the Adjunct, and then answer is the head, and complement is the the question is the complement of answer. This is the diagram. The VP here branches into an NP, and the V bar branches into two elements, V bar and FFPL phrase. The NP specifier here is cadet, and the V bar here branches again into two elements, a V bar and an NP, and then the FFPL phrase is just complete. And then you have answer the question. So answer is the head, and the question is the complement of answer. And then in the next sentence, we have the woman diligently peeled the peanuts. The women diligently peeled the peanuts. Here we have the red brackets of here. The women diligently peel the peanuts. We have the women is a specifier. It branches into the women and the two brackets diligently peel the peanuts. And diligently here is the attribute, and it's the V bar peel the peanuts, and peel is the head, and V head and peanuts is the complement. We can draw the diagram, the VP here, and we have VP here branches into NP, the women, and V bar adjective should be adverbial phrase diligently, adverbial phrase diligently over here. Please take note, this is a mistake. Diligently over here, and then V bar over here, and you have a peel and the peanuts. The women diligently peel the peanuts. Good women. The next structure you have, this is in Indonesian. Kadek menjawab pertanyaan itu dengan tenang. In English we have kadek. Men is the active affix. Jawab is the verb. Pertanyaan itu the question dengan tenang. And we have kadek, the specifier, and jawab, and you have V bar here up to the blue. No, I think something wrong with the coloring. You have V bar over here. Oh, this is the blue, correct? This is the V bar in the blue brackets, and then you have dengan tenang is taken. This is the adjunct, and then the brackets, yellow bracket, jawab pertanyaan itu. This is the jawab is the head, and pertanyaan itu is the complement. We have the diagram, the NP kadek. So the VP here branches into NP and V bar, and kadek is the specifier. Remember, specifier is a daughter of maximum projection here, VP of phrase, and a sister of V bar. Specifier is a daughter of maximal projection and a sister of V bar. This is a specifier, and then the V bar here branches into another V bar and adverbial phrase. And the adverbial phrase here branches again into V and NP. This is so NP here is the head because we have V over here. A complement is the sister of a head and the daughter of V bar. And dengan tenang here is the adjunct. And then we have jawab is the head, and pertanyaan itu is the complement. So we see here that the structure of the verb phrase in Indonesian is exactly the same as that in English. Another sentence, wanita itu dengan tekun mengupas kacangnya. Wanita itu the women, dengan tekun is diligently, kupas is peel, kacangnya is the peanut. So wanita itu is the specifier, and then you have the blue brackets. Dengan tekun is an attribute. And we have the yellow brackets over here, the V bar. Kupas is the head and kacangnya is the complement. We can display in the diagram the VP here branches into NP and V bar. The NP is wanita itu, and the V here, the V bar branches to AP. I think another mistake again. I'm sorry. I'm really sorry. This one should be adverbial phrase. And then you have A bar over here, V bar over here. And dengan tekun is an adverbial phrase over here, dengan tekun. This is an attribute. The V bar here branches into V and NP. And the V here is kupas and kacangnya is the complement of kupas. So once again, the T structure in Indonesian of a verb, the T structure of a verb in Indonesian is same as that in English, and we can say that the express theory is something which is inherent to the meaning of to the semantic configuration, the semantic structure of the verb. If you have kupas, we always need an agent, wanita itu, well, the women, and then also something which is a peel, kacangnya, the peanuts. And then with dengan tekunnya and other informations are only circumstantial information. So the structure of VP is we have a VP, the maximal projection, and it branches into a specifier and a V bar. A specifier is the daughter of a maximal projection and a sister of another V bar. And then we have adjunct over here. This is an adjunct, a sister of a V bar and a daughter of V bar and a sister of another V bar. And then an attribute is a daughter of a V bar and sister of another V bar. And we have the complement here is the daughter of V bar and a sister of head. So a complement is always a sister or in the same level as the head over here. Well, thank you. That's all. And in the next talk, I will talk about sentence structure. How is the structure of a sentence? As you see in the discussion, I still leave out the ed, like ed and es. So the next question is, where is the tense indicator in English sentences? That's what I'm going to deal in the next presentation. Thank you very much. That's all.